Welcome to this look at a new mod map to Farming Simulator 22 with me, MrSealyp. New Bartelshagen 2022 by AtzeVR. This is 113.57 megabytes to download. On FS19 this was 168.95 megabytes download, so a reduction in megabyte requirement to download this map. We start on the veranda of our farmhouse where our sleep trigger is, which can be sold along with a lot of the barns and buildings that we have. We do also have just out here a bit of upturned cone 10-pin bowling, should you wish to partake. Now, as in contrast, I think, really, to the map tour on the Old Stream Farm, this map hasn't changed very much. The changes of this are very subtle. All of the FS22 features are here, all the functions and things like that, but the map itself hasn't really changed, even down to placement of the sleep trigger, although the sleep trigger is a different sleep trigger. Some of the sell points are in the same locations, slightly modified, slightly changed, but the map itself hasn't changed that much. The lighting does, to me, seem different, as obviously do the textures and all those kind of things. There are some mods put in by the map maker. I'm just thinking, I think I might have forgotten to mention those on the Old Stream Farm, but if we go into our build mode and go down to our sheds, right at the very end we've got the Herman sheds, which I think we've got already here, the Giants ones, but I think the prices have been reduced, and we do have a few of those on the map. We do have a silo on the end, which again, we've got a standard in-game one, the NL1622 6000, which is 6 million litres. The standard in-game one is there for 503 grand. This one is a multi-fruit silo that's been slightly modded by the map maker and takes pretty much everything. We have one of those. Under containers, I think water was standard. I'm trying to think what else we had. The farmhouse is obviously in there. Hang on. Productions, I think, are pretty much all the same. Oh, yeah, biogas plant. We'll get to that later on. On the map, there is a 250 kilowatt biogas plant. The standard in-game one is 875 grand. The modded one that's been put in by AtzeVR is 475, so quite a big reduction for the 250 kilowatt, but that's in there. Greenhouse is the same, orchards the same, generators are the same. Animals, I think. Oh yeah, we've got a horse pasture that's been added in, which we'll have a look at in a little while. The standard one is 55,000 for 5 horses. This one is 55,000 for 15 horses. Just a slight tweak, but it's in there. So we're going to start from here. On the map, it looks like this. As you can see, I've also checked as well, all the field numbers are the same. So if you're looking for that familiarity, if you're looking for that comfortable, no problems, no issues, if you really enjoyed this map on 19 and you want to sort of drop straight back in again, that helps, I guess. You haven't got to relearn the map or anything like that. Contracts are available and they pay out pretty well. If we go down to our contracts page, you will see fertilizing, harvesting. Actually, those fields are quite small. There was one a minute ago, I say a minute ago, when I was checking over the map, was 80 grand. I'm not quite sure what the harvest was, but they pay out quite well. And as obviously you can see from the map, there's some big fields here. What do we start with on New Farmer? Well, we start with this section here, which has got the sort of the main farm. It's got the farm area with some barns and buildings and some equipment. The horse pasture is just here, and then where we start, there's a pig pen there, and this is our kind of main plot we start with, as you can see with the sleep trigger. Field prices, well, 1.3 million for field 3 in that section down there, which you would expect. 1.5 for that section there. 1.17. Now, obviously, there are some small ones. 198 grand for field 7, 122 for field 8. So there are some small ones you can kind of, I say, gradually build up. There's a couple of medium-sized ones, and there's also a bit of forestry around. So from there, we're going to jump in the pickup, go and check out the pigs, and we're going to work our way around the map. Now, when I said subtle tweaks, there are going to be some bits and bobs that are going to be different. That will stand out. If you played on this map a lot on FS19, you will probably really notice Again, I'm finding the colour palette seems nice and bright and vibrant, crisp and clean. You know, obviously we've got our requisite hot air balloons. I think the thing I'm noticing as well, though, I think from the first version of this, these like concrete slabs and things like that were put in place, I remember them being kind of dirtier, more muddy in that kind of. It seems a bit cleaner, I think, is probably the other thing as well I'm noticing. So, pig pen, just over here. This is a standard in-game one. I don't think, hang on, I'm going to check that. Let's go to our pigs. Yeah, we have got a standard one. So this is 270 pigs. This will hold and can be sold as well if we want to. And as you can see here, there are collectibles on the map. 1,000 each. I think there's, is it 10 of each type? If you find all 10, you get a 100 grand bonus on top of the 1,000 you get for each one anyway, which is lovely, really. So from here, we're going to head around to, there's some big barn space, and we've got on the map as well some buy points, so you can buy your seed, fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, that kind of thing. You can of course add your own ones in, you don't have to have the ones that are in here. But we'll head to the main crossroads in the middle. And down to the barns and buildings here. The first of these being herbicide, I think. So the herbicide buy point is just here. These buildings can be sold as well. Actually, I should have left that running really. So the herbicide buy point is just there. These buildings are cavernous as well. Going to the door here. So our doors down the side. Plenty of storage space in these. But there is what appears to be a workshop trigger just here as part of the building. Now, I'm not sure if to come into here or you can do it from outside. I would imagine you have to come in from here. But we don't actually own that, and I don't know if that's part of the plots we can buy. Oh, we can. 42 grand. Let's buy that and see if the trigger comes up. No, still just the trigger for the herbicides, and then there's another big barn that side. But as I was just saying, we go across to our demolish and click on the buildings. We can remove them if we want to, and there are a few around the map. When we get up to the main farm area, I will talk about slot count on console, what equipment and machinery we start with, what the slot counts are on the 3 game modes. Being that it's a sort of map with very big fields, I think the last 2 times I've done map tours on this, on various different versions, there's a lot of drive in between because a lot of the sell points, most of the sell points are up to the north. Actually, I've just realised I've missed one. Do we drive all out to it? You know what we'll do? We'll have a look on the map. Out here, there's like a housing estate kind of area, which on previous versions didn't really have anything there. But we do have out here the restaurant sell point, so that's out that way to the southeast. We won't drive all the way out to it, it's a bit of a drive, but the restaurant sell point is out that way. Our horse pasture is just here on the left hand side. Again, this can be sold, so if you want to put something else here in its place, you absolutely can. Feed trough, water trough, and then we've got our place for our 15 horses for buying, selling, loading or unloading. Gate does open and close too. And then right next to that, we don't have a store, like a machinery store per se. You can kind of, I suppose, simulate a kind of situation where you've kind of ordered it and it gets delivered, I suppose. But that's here, so your store point is just there. So the workshop trigger being either the one that's in that building we were just at. There is one just here, but I'm going to need to talk about that in a moment. We do have a bit of the machinery and equipment we start with, just put here, and we have a line buy point just there. The reset point is here as well, so anything gets stuck, any problems, any issues, you have to reset. It will reset back to here. If we cross over the road, we have got our water point. Again, sellable. We've got a fuel point, so that will just be a standard buy point. Fuel point, this is one of the ones where you can buy fuel. You can bring it yourself and put it in if you want to, but you can buy it in various different increments to put your fuel in. We've got a seed buy point, which is just here. Then we come to the main buildings and our equipment and stuff that's out in the forecourt, the yard, I guess. These buildings are rather large too. On the back of this one, we've got liquid fertilizer buy point. But over here, we've got another trigger for what I assumed was workshop, because on the previous version of the game, this was the vehicle workshop. And the vehicle workshop trigger was just inside here. But the problem I've got is, that's interesting, because that disc is showing there, but because it's right by the door, I couldn't get it to work. I was thinking, I don't understand, how's the workshop trigger going to work? But if we come to the back here, the workshop trigger is actually at the back, although the symbol is sitting in the front there. So if that confuses you at all, your trigger is at the back here for your main vehicle workshop. Turn on lights, if we normally get to the middle of the workshop, something like that. Got lights on all the sheds. Now, as far as our start equipment goes, we have got a John Deere harvester sitting here and header. We've got a John Deere tractor, trailer. We've got a cultivator. You don't start with a huge amount of stuff. In the back of this barn is the fertilizer. So we've got herbicide, seed, liquid fertilizer, and then fertilizer just over here. So you can buy all of those if you want, or get them in pallets and deliver them yourself, or however you want to go about it is of course entirely up to you. But as far as start equipment goes, on New Farmer and Farm Manager and Start from Scratch, you start with exactly the same stuff. You start with exactly the same buildings. The slot count is identical on all three game modes. It's 898 out of either 2,749 or 5,155, depending on what platform you are playing. Now, because you can sell all these barns and buildings and all the equipment and stuff like that, just by selling all of those, barns, buildings, equipment, pig pen, horse, pasture, all that, you can get the slot count right down to 730. That includes selling the silo in the north east. Obviously, you can, if you wanted to, I said this on the previous map tour, you can buy the production chains, buildings, but when you sell those, I mean, the buildings still stay there for the most part, so, I mean, you don't really gain a huge amount for that. But yeah, you can get the slot count down from 898 to 730 if you want to. So as far as start equipment goes, let's go down to here. We start with John Deere 7810. We've got the John Deere T560 harvester. We've got a pickup, an old pickup. We've got the Welga DK115 trailer, header for the harvester. We have got the Raba EG39 cultivator. We've got the Nordsten HK25 seeder, header trailer, and a weight. And that's it. That's all you start with. Not a huge amount of gear to get yourself up and running, but we do start with a little bit. So where have we been so far? Let's go to the map then. We started here at our farmhouse. We went to the pig pen, out to the middle, checked out the herbicide. We've come up here to the horse pasture, lime, store point, various different triggers. And as I said, we've got the seed one there, liquid fertilizer and fertilizer buy points, and the barns and buildings around. We're now going to head north, because most of the sell points and production chains buildings are all up either in the northwest, northeast, apart from the restaurants down there. There's nothing down the south, but again, if you buy the land and with all the different production chains that are available, you can put stuff in wherever you want. Sell points, production chains, any of the modded ones that are available as well. It's fairly flat across the entire map as well, so placing shouldn't be too difficult. A bit high pitched and squeaky there. So, we're going to head north, up the side of some of the larger fields. Now, some of these fields do have clumps of trees in them. I remember on earlier versions when I did map tours as well, some of them had telegraph poles, and there was manhole covers in the middle of one of them as well. I remember people commenting and saying they didn't like that. You know, I suppose that it's put in there to simulate real farms. You know, real farms have things like this. If you want to take the time, as you could do in the real world, of going out with your chainsaws and stump grinders and all sorts of stuff and remove the small clumps of trees, you absolutely can. If you want to go down that route, you can. There is a sawmill, but not a huge amount of forestry. There are trees about, but not a huge amount of what I would call standard forestry, but there is some to do. You can always plant your own trees if you want to plant your own trees. So we are now up in the northwest corner of the map. And the first point we're going to come to here is the spinnery. That's what I want to say. Yes. The spinnery, 60 grand to buy the spinnery. Biogas plant is up here, and like I say, this is the 250 kilowatt one. This is the one that's been put in by the map maker, so it's a lot cheaper rather than 850 grand. It's only, I say only 450, but you can buy this one if you wish for 475. There we go. 2 large silage clamps just to the side there for your biogas plant. We've then got across here, we've got our animal dealer, livestock market, so you buy, sell, load or unload point for your livestock. Now we've only got the pigs and horses on here set as standard. There are no cow pastures, there's nothing else, but you can of course place your own anywhere you want to if you want to go down that route too. And then we've got our grain mill, part of the production chain just there, 96 grand for the grain mill if you want to buy it, but there's a sell point there for contracts and stuff as well. Now heading across the top of the map, we are going to be going to the sawmill. Is got a sort of part way, maybe just past 2/3 of the way. There's also the animal dealer sell point, which is further across here as well. So we've got the livestock market, animal dealer, and then we've got the animal dealer sell point, which we'll be heading to. And then in the northeast corner, we've got the large silo modded by the map maker to be multi-fruit. And then the last couple of sell points. There is more to have a look at down to the south of the map. Obviously big fields. There's a couple of little sort of water sources, drainage ditches to have a look at. There's no sell points, like I said, down to the south of the map. Then it is that contrast, very, yeah, definitely that contrast between this and looking over the Old Stream Farm. How this is very, very similar. Not very much has changed, and as I said right at the start, very subtle the changes to this. I know some people don't like change, and if you're one of those people who don't like change, that's perfect. This will work very nicely. So this is something different. This is the animal dealer sell point, just there. Oh, that was something I needed to mention. I've got it written down on my piece of paper and circled repeatedly. If we go into our, that was why at this point I was going to mention it. If we go down our list of prices and the sell points top right, there are some commodities that don't have sell points. Now, obviously, we get that with some of the production chains things, because if we don't have the production chains buildings on here set by the map maker that you can put on, you will then get them. But there are some fairly, I'll say, basic ones. Soybean. No sell point available for soybean. So you may have to place one. What else was it? Sugar beet. No sell point. Sugar cane. Milk, which obviously you'd need to put a dairy on there if you wanted to. No wood chip sell point. Diesel, road salt, those kind of things. But as we start to get down to things like the bread, cake, all the things that are more production chains, obviously then you would have to put in the bakery and those kind of things, and more onward sell points that take things like the bread. But those standard things is a bit odd. There are sell points available that will take multiple things, and there are some modded ones available that do, but just to be aware, there are some missing on the sort of base map, so to speak. Sawmill is just here. The sawmill was 100 grand. Bring your wood here. You can sell it if you want to. If you want to buy the sell point, you can bring your wood here and turn it into planks, which then you can then move onwards in the production chain to the carpentry if you want to go down that route. So that's your sawmill. Continuing east. We'll slow down a little bit because the turning is just past 2. So very large silo, 2 large buildings next to it as well, all of which can be sold. That is your multi-fruit silo, 6 million litres. And we've got a charge point here as well for electric vehicles. Putting in, taking out, And this does actually start with some products in it as well. And when we looked at the sell points, you can see that there are some values there. So there are some items already in that silo for you to use straight off the bat, which is rather handy. From here, we are going to head down to the last two sell points we're going to have a look at. And that is the carpentry and the oil mill. Yeah, if you like big open fields and you like big machinery and stuff like that, there's nothing in your way. There's no fences. There's no, there's no collisions. There's not really much in the way of hedges. Like I say, there's a few trees and things here and there. But if you do like your big open field stuff, but you might not want to do an American map, plenty of space to be getting on with it all here. So, carpentry, just here. Carpentry's 60 grand. But you're putting into the carpentry, and then you've got your pallets out of your furniture if you go down the carpentry route. Then you've got your oil mill just here. The oil mill is 80 grand, I think. Off the top of my head, I'm sure it's 80 grand. Let's double check that. It is 80 grand. Putting in pallets out, and that, for all intents and purposes, is the map. That's it, really. If we go back to our main map and have a look. So from there we went up and out to this side, to the spinnery, biogas plant, animal dealer and grain mill. Then out across the top there to the animal dealer sell point. There you go. And the sawmill. Our silo and electric charge point. Then down here to carpentry and oil mill. The only place we didn't actually visit was the restaurant. But that's it. That's the map. That's all of it. I'm just looking down my list to make sure there's nothing I have missed. Talked about the collectibles, didn't I? Reset is back at the, where we have our stuff delivered anyway. I think that's about it. So that's the new BARTELSHAGEN 2022 by AtzeVR. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.